This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
That's right, that's me. Sorry, I got distracted. Let me start that again. Hello, and welcome to the Holocron Histories podcast, where we talk about Star Wars canon versus legend. I am one of your hosts, Austin, also known as Teacup.
And I'm your other host, Ben of Temeria.
Yeah, and we are here to talk about everyone's favorite Taruga.
Yes.
Everyone's favorite Padawan of Anakin Skywalker. Yes. I don't want to say favorite Padawan because my wife will come in here from the other room to scream about Gunji.
See, that's a fair argument. I would say that's a pretty fair argument.
Look, I love Gunji and he's very cute, but what makes him so cool is his lightsaber.
This is true. This is very true. Very few, if not any, Padawans we've seen have a Biolog tree lightsaber.
Right.
It's great.
Do I use the Biolog wood in creating my own lightsaber in Jedi Survivor? Absolutely.
Yes. Heck yes. But yes, we are talking about Ahsoka Tano. We are going over her history in Star Wars. Obviously, this is canon. Well, it's technically both, because Clone Wars is technically Legends as well as canon. But
yeah,
we are not going to go over her stuff through the Clone Wars and Rebels in this episode, because one, it's too much. Like, way too much. Two, you can go watch it. So there's that. So a lot of this is the side stuff, either from like Tales of the Jedi or also from the book Ahsoka, which, yeah, a lot happens in that. So,
well, I was just gonna say, if you haven't watched the Clone Wars and you haven't watched Rebels, and you're watching Ahsoka and you're like, who the heck are all these people? What are all these things going on? I'm so confused. You need to watch at least Rebels.
Yeah, that's a necessary to watch Ahsoka. And the thing is, I'm watching it with my dad, and he doesn't watch animated shows, so I have to explain literally everything that's happening in these episodes. It's like, oh, who's this? Who's that? Who's this? And it's like, oh my god.
Well, I wonder if someone has done like a everything you need to know about Ahsoka YouTube video.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is probably somewhere, but I have no idea. But with things, we are going to start with her childhood. So, in 36 BBY, Ahsoka Tano was born on the planet of Shali, in the Trigrudas Pavti and Anak Il Tano. Early in her life, Tano was taken on a journey by her mother, who taught her about life and death. During this period, the young girl encountered a Rakshi feline, where she reached out without fear, and she proceeded to ride on top of the animal to return home. And then upon her return, the elder Degruda Gantika realized the infant was force sensitive and declared that she would be a Jedi. When Tano was 3 years old, she was discovered by Jedi Master Plo Koon among her people on Shirley, after her natural ability to sense the intentions and feelings of others had marked her as force sensitive.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a great episode of Tales of the Jedi.
It is. I think it's the first episode, if I recall. I'm pretty sure, right?
No, because I think the first, they start with like Qui-Gon Dooku.
Yeah, that's right. Because they were off planet, or they were on a different planet thing. Yeah, that's right. Really good episode, though.
Mm-hmm.
And then around the same time, however, Tano was nearly enslaved by an imposter who intercepted the signal to the Jedi Order and hoped to use her powers for their own ends. Being unable to properly explain to the village elders the danger she knew that the imposter posed, Tano's fellow villagers held scorn towards her, and she refused to demonstrate her force powers. But the imposter's plan was ultimately thwarted. And then, although the imposter had scared the young Tano, she trusted Koon instantly, and he taught her how to breathe slowly to calm herself. Afterwards, she accepted into the Jedi Order, beginning her new life after Koon brought her to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, where, like all Jedi of her era, she was raised. And then training as a Jedi Initiate restored her self-confidence after the fear caused by the imposter impacted it, and the life of the Jedi became the only life she ever knew. Yeah. It's insane that, like, someone tried to kidnap her, though. Like, what? But I would imagine that had to have been common of some sort during the Republic era.
It's interesting to me because, like, the way that this imposter is very similar to how, like, Cad Bane tries to take the Jedi younglings in the Clone Wars.
True.
So maybe this is Plagueis or Palpatine. Maybe there's some kind of nefarious thing going on there.
That's all possible, because we all know Palpatine was playing both sides.
Right.
Oh, boy. So, at some point, Tano traveled to the Jedi Temple on the ice planet of Ilum and required a kyber crystal for her lightsaber. Feeling the crystals a bet without knowing that she'd sense as soon as a Jedi starship came out of hyperspace, she entered the temple's cave after Grandmaster Yoda told her she would know the crystal when she found it. As an opening to the cave slowly closed as the sun of Alcer set, she urgently looked for a crystal until she calmed herself, thinking back on Yoda's words, and only then seeing its light. And then, excited and ready to leave, she quickly made her way out of the cave with a tool for which she could build her own lightsaber. Although her visit to Ilum had overall been unremarkable, her decision to trust Yoda's teaching restored her ability to trust others after it was impacted by the false Jedi. From there, she would construct said lightsaber using the kyber crystal under the tutelage of Jedi architect droid Huyang, who fused over her shoulder as she worked on it. At another point, Yoda taught her that she could sometimes find something she was not looking for in a situation. Yeah. And this is where she first meets Huyang, which, watch Ahsoka, you'll see him again. I love that droid.
I do too, and I need to know, like, how he survived the purge. Like,
yeah, I know. There's like so many things. Like, how are you, like, of all things Jedi related, how did you survive? And on top of that, how did you survive with over 75% of your original parts intact?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what? Like, it's just mind-boggling. Like, where's that backstory? I want to see that backstory.
Right. And it's interesting because I want to know like the connection because obviously Hulang like he has a connection to Ilum and like that would be a lot. So I wonder if he's like there when the Empire tries to take over that facility. And it be interesting.
Yes. But then we get to the events of the Clone Wars, so which we're not gonna. I mean, I can skim over some bits that I can remember on top of my head. I mean, we have the Clone Wars animated film, which kicked off the Clone Wars, which we see Ahsoka's first appearance in the animation and into canon as a whole, where she becomes the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, Jedi Knight. And then, after that, she had adventures with Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme, all throughout the Clone Wars. Captain Rex, she eventually, gets somewhat betrayed by the Jedi Order for a false charge, which then she leaves the Order, and then, Season 7 starts to where she comes back more as, like, kind of a mercenary style for Bo-Katan. And where we get like the best fight scene in all of Star Wars with her in it, which is fantastic. And that is Ahsoka Tano versus Darth Maul in Season 7. Best fight scene. It was fully choreographed and in motion capped. So what you see in the animation is what you see actual actors doing. And let me tell you, Maul is, again, motion capped by Ray Park himself, the original Maul, and it's fantastic.
It is fantastic,
and it's really cool if you ever have a chance, go watch the behind the scenes because Sam Witwer geeks out the entire time when they're doing that because he's there during the mocap session and all because he has to do the voice, and it's just hysterical because he's such a nerd.
Yeah, and so like this is an important thing because I remember when Mando season 2 came out. Because Ahsoka is very like after she leaves the council and all of that stuff, she's very adamant like I am not a Jedi. Like that's where Mace Windu's famous line of like okay citizen or whatever.
Right.
And her big line to Vader when Vader is like revenge is not the Jedi way, and she's like, "I'm no Jedi." But in the Mando show and kind of in her own show, she's
reverting back to the Jedi ways,
right?
But it's weird because with Season 7 we see Ahsoka go on this journey of essentially like she's becoming her own person without having her own personality and thoughts in her life besides the Jedi teaching. And then we get to Mando season 2 and then her own show to where she kind of goes, she's reverting back into the Jedi teaching stuff. Even in Rebels, she's like, she does stuff, and obviously she's a Force wielder, and she does use she uses the Jedi teachings and all, but she's her own person. She's not grounded by the teachings. But then when we get to her own show, it seems like they're grounding her again with the teachings of the Jedi, which is like you literally went through like a series and one season of not that.
Right.
It's like, what happened? So, I don't know. Maybe episode 5 will shed some light on that. But we're not going to talk about... Well, episode 5 hasn't released yet, for one. 2, it's going to be a big episode.
Yes, it really is.
They're streaming in 10 theaters across the U.S.
Well, and like with the end of the last one, like I'm not surprised of that. Again, we're not going to get into any kind of big, heavy spoilers.
No, we are not. That's its own thing. But now we get to the Age of the Empire. So Ahsoka Tano fled into the Outer Rim, intent from hiding from the Empire. Eventually, she found the planet of Tabesca, a planet that she dealt largely in a small-scale water and technology trading, and one with a relatively small and unorganized population located far away from major hyperspace routes. Believing the rural world to be a little interest to the Empire and a steady stream of newcomers would allow herself to blend into the quiet world, Tano made her landing on Tabesca. And I see you. Hello there, General Kenobi, Daddy Bat Knight,
Hello.
and Ahsoka is worth it, especially this most recent episode. That's all I will say. Watch it. And then, in order to hide her identity, Tano looked to the name of Ashla, which was also the name of a moon that orbited the sacred Jedi world of Tython, another term for the light side of the Force and name of the Jedi youngling from the Clone Wars era. Tython. We got a mention of Tython.
Yeah.
And
it'll be...
This comes from the Ahsoka novel. So this came out well before Mando Season 2. Just saying.
Yes. And this even came out before... It either came out around the time of Rebels or maybe after Rebels.
I feel like it was after.
Yeah. Because, like, if you want to know, like, especially, like, if you have not watched Rebels, but you watch the Clone Wars, and you want to know, like, okay, why does Ahsoka have white lightsabers? Like, the Ahsoka novel is a place to learn about that.
Yes. And if you don't like reading, get the audiobook version, because it's the narrator for the book is Ashley Epstein, who voices Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the book narrated by the voice of Ahsoka, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other, like, yes, the book's about Ahsoka, but there's also other characters that are in there that are important.
Yes. But 2 months before Empire Day, the first anniversary of Emperor Palpatine's rise to power, Ahsoka Tano was working on some droids in the shipyard on Tabesca, where she noticed some of the Fardi children playing by a stack of crates. As Tano observed, the crates began to fall on the children, who cried out in fear, forcing Tano to save the Fardis by levitating the crates through the Force. And then on Empire Day, Tano was informed by the Fardi girls that their father was having important Imperial guests over for dinner and that they wanted to meet anyone who was new to the planet. What-ohs. The girls offered for Tano to come and sit with them on Empire Day parade and flyby, and told her about how security was a disaster due to high amount of ships in the shipyard. Tano took this invitation as a subtle warning and not opportunity to escape the planet, and Tano used this opportunity to her advantage. She gathered the belongings she had and escaped the city street for the landing field. And then, after numerous run-ins with Imperial stormtroopers, Ahsoka Tano was forced to steal one of Fardi's ships, leaving the planet. Once in orbit, Tano remembered Halliday Fardi's and danger that she was in, being a Force-sensitive child who would likely be sought out by the Empire, but Tano knew that was too late, so she left. So she just left this Force-sensitive child just to survive.
Yeah. It's sad.
It is sad. So now we have Rada. So Tano found herself on the remote Argian moon of Rada in the Outer Rim. Tano landed the Fardi ship on the planet's main settlement under the alias of Ashla. Tano befriended a local girl named Kadeen Lart, who was part of a farming community. As time passed, Tano became the settlement's mechanic and repaired numerous broken threshers and other farming equipment. Kadan and Mariah came to regard as Ashla as an adopted family member and regularly visited Tano to chat and deliver gifts, including a door lock. One free day, she packed some supplies and went to meditate in the caves alone. Tano sensed a disturbance in the force and witnessed the arrival of an Imperial Star Destroyer above the settlement. The Imperial official Jenneth Peller had decided to exploit Rudda as a source of crops for the Imperial military. Despite initially panicking, Tano decided that the Empire had not come to hunt her. The following morning, Tano had visited a pair of stormtroopers who asked why she was working. Tano informed them that her job was fixing broken machines, so no one asked her information, saying that she may be reassigned to field if they deem it necessary. Wishing to maintain the freedom that she had under her job repairing machines, Tano used the mind trick to convince the stormtroopers that her work was important for food production and they did not need to reassign her. I don't know if that was wise.
Does not.
And then right. And then wishing to move her freighter from the spaceport before the Empire locked it down, Tano scouted a place to hide it, discovering a galley where the starship could fit. She then headed the spaceport to retrieve the freighter. There, an Imperial officer took a list of the starships in the port. He asked Tano of her purpose there, to which she told him she wished to move her ship. The officer tried to assume that she was a local garrison would keep it safe, but then she began mocking the security, making her way past the haggled officer before he could continue to dispute. And then Tano proceeded to the pilot seat of the freighter and prepared to take off. The Imperial officer reattempted to argue, but was muffled out by the engines as she flew the ship away. Tano flew her freighter the opposite way to the galley, taking it the long way around Rudda to cover her tracks, although she briefly considered abandoning the moon forever to run from the Empire. She chose to continue instead and hid her ship in the galley with its nose positioned upwards towards the sky to ensure a swift takeoff. Yeah, so Ahsoka runs and hides a lot from the Empire. Like a lot.
Well, and it makes sense because at some level you've got to be a thing of like, one, if she draws too much attention to herself, she knows it's going to hurt the people around her.
Right.
By bringing unwanted Imperial attention to their planet. Two, I mean, for all she knows, she's the only Jedi who's alive.
That's also true. Yeah, she doesn't know there's any other survivors.
Right. And it's a thing about it, like in the Ahsoka book, like she doesn't know that Kenobi is alive or Master Yoda or any of that.
Yep. So now we have the return to Fardus. So Tano's presence on Rudda drew the attention of both the Galactic Empire and Senator Organa, who had still been working against the Empire in secret, while the Empire dispatched the Inquisitor's sixth brother to Rudda to draw the Jedi out of hiding. Organa took the interest in reports of Jedi activity to Rudda and contacted Captain Ramus Antilles to retrieve R2-D2 for a secret mission to find Tano. After receiving R2-D2, Organa hired the pilots Shardi Tag and Tamsin to find Tano and contact him to arrange the rendezvous. Organa believed that the former Jedi would make a worthy ally in the rebel movement that he was building. Yeah.
I mean, and this is something to like really think about, like the secret that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader is probably one of the most well-kept secrets in the galaxy. Like, it is not public knowledge. Like, there are a handful of people who know that. Like, Obi-Wan knows that. Yoda knows that. And Tarkin and Thrawn know that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really about that. Palpatine.
but R2.
Oh yeah, R2. I guess that's true.
R2, no. That droid kept that secret for so effing long. Could have told his own son and didn't even spill the beans. Because his memory was never wiped. Ever. He had all his
We don't
memories.
know that.
True, we don't know
We're
that
just
for sure. We just assume that he has all these memories from throughout the Clone Wars and everything. Because if you go and watch Clone Wars, Anakin has never wiped R2's memories. Because if he did that, R2 would be less effective. But because he has all his memories, he's like the best droid, period. Because he knows what he's doing. He's self-efficient. Right. But, yeah. Yeah, and if people did find out the secret, and Vader would just straight up kill them. And then they wouldn't know. That's typically what would happen. But now we have some entanglements. So Tano took the Farty ship to a small, sparsely populated world of the Tabasca system. However, she was followed by a starship flown by a non-binary Black Sun agent who had come to extort credits from her from the damage her smuggling activities with the Farties had inflicted on the Black Sun's operations. In order to pay off these quote-unquote debts, the Black Sun agent offered her a job, but threatened to kill her if she did not accept the offer. Tano rejected the Black Sun agent's offer and then fled back into her ship under fire. The Black Sun agent gave chase to her own ship. During the dogfight, Tano decided to cast aside her I don't even know what word this is. Her alias is Ashla for good, and to embrace her identity as Ahsoka Tano. And the Black Sun ship managed to damage her freighter's starboard engine, but a larger vessel intervened before Tano's ship could sustain further damage. Chasing the Syndicate starship away, Tano managed to take her freighter into space, but burnt out her port engine. Before she could engage the hyperdrive, she caught in the tractor beam of a second ship that she had encountered. And then the ship belonged to Taj and Tamsin, who had been sent by Organa to find Tano, believing the second ship was to be hostile as well. Tano armed herself with batons. When Taj and Tamsin entered the ship through the hatch, she knocked them out cold. Well, yeah, if you don't expect things, you expect them to be hostile. Yeah, knock them out.
Mm-hmm.
And then while navigating her way to the bridge to disable the tractor beam, Tano encountered her old friend R2-D2 in the engine room. R2-D2 told her that she can now work for as a senator, and that Taj and Tamsin had been sent on a mission to take her to meet someone. The droid also confirmed that the senator was the Jedi sympathizer, Bail Organa, and that he had indeed sent the pilots to pick her up. And then Tano convinced R2-D2 to release the tractor beam on her ship and tell everyone that that he never saw her. However, she instructed him to make sure that she could track his ship. After repairing the ship, Tano left Taj's ship and hid on one of the small moons that orbited the planet, and where she encountered the Black Sun agent. After R2-D2 had transmitted the coordinates to Taj's ship, she slept aboard her freighter. Yeah, a lot happens in the book and all this. Like, a lot happens. But before we go any further, we are going to take a quick mid-break.
All right, let's get to it. Well, welcome to the middle of the show where we talk about things to do with the podcast, but not the lore of Star Wars. It's here where we thank our patrons. Thank you to all of our patrons who come out and support us and who support us that way. We greatly appreciate it. If you would like to join us on our patron chats, which happen once a month, you can go to patreon.com/holocronhistories and sign up at our Dark Lord of the Sith or Jedi Master tier or a higher, and you can join us on those monthly patron chats and come hang out with us and have a lot of fun. if another great way to support us, that if you can't financially, is to leave us ratings and reviews on Apple and Spotify. Leave us a Spotify comment or an Apple review with 5 stars, and we will read it out on a future episode of the show.
Yes, and we do have a Spotify comment this week. It's actually on our first episode, Origins of the Lightsaber, from Dr. Void 7. A brilliant look at lightsaber lore. Loved it.
Awesome. Thanks. I enjoyed that episode.
Yes.
All kinds of lightsaber.
Yeah.
One day we'll see a live action lightsaber whip, maybe.
Maybe. Maybe. I can see it being in the High Republic Acolyte show. I can see them doing a light whip in that one.
Well, and they kind of got it with like the Praetorial Guards. They had the like weapon that like kind of becomes a whip.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. They were more in line with like those whips they used in Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
They can they stun and sting you, but they don't cut off your arm.
Right. Other than that, you can come hang out with us on Discord, in the Cups Podcasting and More Discord server, the Robots Radio Discord server, or Ben's server, which is named Ben and Friends.
Yes. All those links in the description below.
Yeah. And so you can hang out with us there. We're on all 3 of those servers. And so if you want to find us under Teacup or Ben of whatever he is of in whatever server, you can find us there and come hang out with us. Other than that, you can catch us live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on the channel twitch.tv/Ben of Temeria. Come hang out with us.
Yes. And you can also find us on our other shows besides this one. Yeah. You have Dragon Age and Assassin's Creed. That's the only 2 that you do now, right?
Yes. Then I have to plug, if you haven't listened to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast and you're an Assassin's Creed fan, in a couple weeks, we are going to release a very special episode that I'm very excited about, but I cannot divulge any information right now, but it is coming. And if you have been an OG Assassin's Creed fan, you will really appreciate it.
You got one of the voice actors, didn't you?
I'm not saying any, I'm not divulging any information about said information.
That's fair. And you can find me on a few other shows, the Wizarding World Lorecast, the Final Fantasy Lorecast, and I am now officially one of the hosts for the Witcher Lorecast. I replaced Tom on the show. He left the show to go and focus on the Starfield Lorecast, but by all means, he should, because he started his career with Bethesda, so.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Starfield lore.
Oh my god.
A lot of it.
They packed this game with as much lore as Skyrim or Fallout. Probably more, honestly.
Right.
Because it took like 10 years to make, so there's that.
And like, this game, so like Fallout, Mass Effect, like they're in years like 21 something or like 20
something. They're in like the 22nd, 23rd century or something like that.
Yeah, and this game is like 23, which would be the 24th century. So it's a lot farther than other space games that we've gotten. So there's like hundreds of years of events and lore in the Starfield universe that
it's great.
Just
go play it. If you like Star Wars, if you like anything space like Mass Effect, pick up Starfield. It's on PC, it's on Xbox Series. It's great.
If you're a Game Pass subscriber, you get it.
Yep.
For free. So, or with your subscription. So you can go in there.
PC or Xbox with Game Pass, you can download right now and play. Go and do that. If you play on PC,
you might play tomorrow. You might play tomorrow because,
well,
I guess depending on when you're done. It's 150 gigabytes. So
Yeah, it's a pretty beefy game.
Mhm.
But with that being said, we are going to go back and talk about more Ahsoka. All right, we are back, and yes, I see Daddy Bat Night. Yeah, it's not on PlayStation. I'm sorry, it's not. It's an Xbox exclusive. Bethesda is owned by Xbox, and since this was a new IP, they went ahead and made the decision of Xbox exclusive. Now, granted, I don't mind it being an Xbox exclusive because when's the last time you've heard of a good Xbox exclusive? That's
Halo.
not from like 2008.
No, that's my point. Halo was the last one.
Right.
And I love PlayStation. I don't play PlayStation, and so I understand wanting to play the game very well because there are several games, Spider-Man, Horizon, that I want to play but cannot because I don't have a PlayStation.
So it's a win-lose. So you have to take what you get. So, but with that, so we do have Ahsoka gains a new ally. So after Senator Organa having spotted Tano's Montrolls in security footage, and R2 had not erased, arrived in his CR-90 Corvette Tantive 4. Tano donned a pressure suit and boarded the senator ship through the hatch that R2-D2 had left open. Tano had then surprised the Senator Organa in his temporary office. After exchanging pleasantries about R2-D2, Tano explained that she did not come with Taj because she distrusts anyone who employed a tractor beam before saying a hello. Organa admitted not telling his pilots who she was in order to protect her true identity, addressing her as Padawan Tano. Organa then told Tano that he was recruiting people for a rebellion against the Emperor. The Empire had everything it stood for. Tano responded that she was no longer a Padawan and recounted the previous events on Rada to Organa. Senator Organa told her that she could not fight the Empire alone and offered her a place in the emerging rebellion. However, Tano stated that she could not become a commander again due to her experiences during the Clone Wars. Which makes sense. She went through a lot of crap. Like a lot.
He did.
And then Organa replied that he could find another job for her. Tano then told Organa that something, quote-unquote, was hunting down Force-sensitive children throughout the galaxy. She agreed to join the rebellion if Organa agreed to help her protect the children. Senator Organa accepted her bargain and told Tano that he needed her help for a mission on Rada. So, now we have the planning her return for Rada. So Tano agreed to the mission, but requested a meal since she had exhausted from her earlier adventures. Organa then informed her that his contacts in Rada's sector had reported the presence of a new Imperial agent who had gray skin and was armed with a lightsaber. His agent being the sixth brother, who had been stalking Haldia and is now charged with rooting out Tano. The Inquisitor had already attacked the Rodanian insurgents who had retreated to the caves, recapturing Kaden before slaughtering the others, including Colvin and Nira. Only Mira had survived the massacre. Tano opined, and then the new Imperial agent was a force wielder who had been sent by the Empire to hunt down Jedi. She traced the Inquisitor's arrival to Imperial interest in her acts of kindness, quote-unquote, in the local sector. Senator Organa cautioned Tano that the Empire could be setting a trap for her while studying footage of the Imperial agent on Organa's datapad. Tano discovered that her friend Kadan had been captured and was bound to a chair. Tano panicked, but Organa firmly told her to calm down. He stressed that she needed to rest and plan. Organa also assured that the Empire could not hurt Kadan because they wanted to lure her out of hiding in the Tantive 4's hangar bay. Tano reflected on her upcoming mission with R2-D2. I mean, granted, like, if you're gonna have a strategist meeting, you better have R2 with you.
Well, really, let's think about this, Ben, for a minute. Because would R2 actually come up with a plan, or would he just basically be like, no, your plan's stupid, I'm going to do my own plan, but I'm not going to tell you what that plan is?
That's a fair point, because he does that multiple times throughout the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm. He is Anakin's droid.
Oh my god, it's him and Chopper are like the most devious. Chopper's way worse than R2 because Chopper has like an actual death count. But regardless, it's like R2 is the sneaky rogue who just goes in, disrupts things, and leaves. Chopper's that same way, but like if something happens, guns blazing, he don't care. Literally guns blazing, because that's what he's chased down stormtroopers with blaster pistols. It's fantastic.
He just, the man was willing to drop a hyperdrive on a city.
Yeah.
And if you listen to him, he says, does that matter?
That's true too.
He's a psychopath.
So, fun fact, if no one's seen Rebels, this is not a spoiler by any means, but in episode 2, I believe it's episode 2, we get
Of Ahsoka.
It's not stated, but Chopper essentially throws the first F-bomb in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. You can understand what he's talking about, what he's saying in his droid speech. And he literally says, "What the F?" It's fantastic.
Yep.
It's great. It just makes all of those, if you go on TikTok or YouTube, you can find videos of people dubbing and like subtitling Chopper's like what he's saying, and it's hysterical. But back to Ahsoka. So when Captain Antilles entered the office to investigate Tano's intrusion, Organa reassured him that she was a friend. After her conversation with the senator, Tano rested in a room that Organa had provided for her. While sleeping, she experienced a flashback of her acquiring her kyber crystal as a youngling on Ilum. After resting, Tano assembled 2 lightsaber hilts from the scrap metal pieces that she had acquired over time. Tano then met with Senator Organa and told him about her plan for their mission of Rada. And then prior to departing for Rada, Tano declined Organa's offer to provide a starship, as she felt that the models that stand out in the Outer Rim. She also refused to back up since she preferred to work alone. When Organa recalled that many of the Jedi had encountered prefer as well, although Tano reiterated that she was not a Jedi. When Organa asked what Tano was, stating that she was still sounded and acted like a Jedi, Tano replied that she would let him know once she figured out who she was. After finishing the modifications of her ship, Tano rested before departing for her mission. On the way to Rada, Tano traveled past the planet Ilum, jumping out of hyperspace from the world as she expected that others might be present. She quickly discovered Imperial ships above Ilum, as well as large chunks of mined from the planet. Angered at what the Empire had done to the world, Tano considered the possibility of attacking an Imperial mining ship, but remembered that Rada was her priority. Yeah, I would want to blow everything out of the sky if I was her.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tano also considered going back to Rex's fake grave to retrieve her lightsabers, but decided against it as she had been left there and intentionally to be discovered. She then reached out to the Force to find a crystal, locating one which was singing to her through the Force from Rada. After arriving on Rada, Tano parked her ship on the opposite side of the moon from the main settlement, knowing that there would be likely to be scanners that could trace her vessel near the settlement. After loading her weapons into a small carry bag, Tano walked for 2 hours to the Rada settlement. On the way, she found Miria sitting alone by a small fire. Tano learned that Miria was the lone survivor after the sixth brother had taken Kadeen prisoner and murdered the other farmers hiding in the caves. Tano convinced Miria to douse the fire and keep watch while she meditated in the Force. While meditating, Tano decided that she was no longer a Jedi. She would still use her Jedi training to help the people to fight back against the Empire. As they approached the settlement, Tano discovered that the Imperial crops had drained the life of the planet's soil. She told Miria to remind her to burn the dying fields if they get a chance. Miria also informed Tano that the Empire was having a farmer's work shifts for the entire daytime. While Tano headed to the Imperial compound, she instructed Miria to find Sauda and Vartan to give them the hollows she had recorded in hyperspace. And this is where we get to the good part. So while Tano is approaching the Imperial compound, Tano heard the six brothers call her out. The Inquisitor taunted her about her friendship with Kadeen, mocking her for violating the Jedi Code by forming attachments. Tano then detected him as he leaped down to attack her with his double-bladed spinning lightsaber. She dodged the six brothers' attacks using the Force. The Inquisitor, finding her endurance impressive, stormtroopers lined up as the walls of the compound, forcing Tano to draw the fight to a side street to flee from the line of fire. As Tano continued to study the sixth brother, she asked what he was and what made him like he was. The Inquisitor stated that he served the Empire. Tano used the Force to throw the sixth brother off balance. As he stepped back towards her, she reached out and held his lightsaber. Despite the Inquisitor trying to disconnect the weapon and fight her with the two separate single blades, Tano managed to nick the power connector in the lightsaber hilt, causing it to overload. And then as she jumped back to safety, the hilt exploded on him, leaving the sixth brother dead and ridden with burns. Tano felt pity for her fallen foe and closed his helmet as a mark of compassion. She then retrieved the kyber crystals from his lightsaber and used the Force to heal them of the dark side presence, causing them to turn white. And that's how she gets her white sabers. She literally overloaded this guy's lightsaber with no weapon of her own. And yeah. And this is a different fight than what we see in Tales of the Jedi. That's a completely different scene. Completely different fight. Mind you. Mm-hmm. And then Tano joins Organa's rebellion.
We're confirmed in that? We've got confirmation that those are two different Inquisitors?
I'm pretty sure. Because I'm pretty sure Dave Filoni said that they weren't going to retcon the Ahsoka book. Because I'm pretty sure it's two separate instances.
That's interesting to me because they're very similar.
They are very similar. That is true. But she doesn't, take his crystals that we see. Well, we don't see her take his crystals.
Right.
And if I would imagine if it would have been that scene, they would have shown her cleansing and curing the dark side corruption. Right. Because there's no way they would have that scene and not have that.
Right, that's fair. It's interesting to me because it's very similar.
It is. I think that's what they intended. Oh, here's something similar from the book, but it's not from the book. Yeah. But then we have some visions. So in 12 BBY, Fortress Vader was constructed on Mustafar. Vader had allied himself with the ancient Sith Lord Darth Mormon, whose spirit inhabited a mask that he had worn many years prior to his downfall. In the attempt to revive his long-dead wife, Padme Amidala, the two managed to construct a portal within a Sith cave below the fortress, which allowed Mormon to resurrect himself, but was once again killed by Vader shortly after. Now, having gained access to the portal, Vader entered and began to explore, receiving many visions granted him by the dark side of the Force. Several of these visions granted him a view of Tano, his former apprentice. He witnessed the two fighting side by side during the Clone Wars, as well as their future meeting upon Malachor.
So that's in Visions?
It's not in Visions. I think that's from the comics. I think that's from the Vader comics.
Oh, okay.
It's just Vader's visions is the from the wiki. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's from the Darth Vader comics, because the Vader comics explores a lot of like Vader stuff between 3 and 4, and he does he goes on a lot of like random side adventures, being a Darth Lord of the Sith and all.
Right. And there's a lot. There's also the Darth Vader comic series that deal with a lot of his time between episode 5 and 6.
There's that, yeah, that too. So, and then after this, we do get the events of Rebels, where we see Ahsoka appear in season 2. She appears as Fulcrum. She's a much older Ahsoka, much more wiser. Helps trains Ezra in the Force, and also canon as well, which is great to see. And then, yeah, we see her fight with Vader on Malachor, where we get the famous line of Vader asking, is like, well, revenge is not the Jedi way. Well, I'm no Jedi, so.
Right.
And then after Rebels, which we do see her even more in Rebels and all that, and she's there at the end of the Battle of the Fall. Was she at the Battle of the Fall? I can't remember.
No, she's not at the Battle of Lothal because she gets rescued from the World Between Worlds.
That's right.
And then she leaves on Malachor, so she doesn't come back in time.
That's right. And then, well, we see her after, well, it's after the fall of the Empire of when the second Death Star is destroyed. She returns to the Lothal. Right. And then we get to the events of Mandalorian, which we see her in season 2. And season 3. Or Book of Boba.
Book of Boba, 2.5. Mando season 2.5.
Yeah. We see Ahsoka, Mando find Ahsoka while she's hunting remnants of the Empire to find Thrawn. Well, Mando, takes Grogu to her, explains the whole thing, does all that stuff. And then, yeah, we see her again in Book of Boba when Grogu's training with Luke.
Right.
So, yeah, fun stuff. And now we have her legacy. So, at some point, Luke chronicled Ahsoka's history in a personal journal during the exile of the planet of Ahch-To. Following the Battle of Crate in 34 ABY, Tano was mentioned in the Galactic Explorer's Guide, a book written by her old enemy and ally, Hondo Ohnaka. The book recounted the Jedi Master Luminara Unduli had been a mentor to Tano. During the Battle of Exegol in 35 ABY, the Last Jedi Rey fell in combat during the resurrected Darth Sidious, who had drained her life force from the young woman. In a moment of tranquility, Rey heard the voices of Ahsoka Tano and the departed Jedi who had come before her. The Jedi spirits gave words of encouragement to Rey, allowing her to muster the strength and rise to ultimately defeat Sidious. And then, long after the reign of Darth Sidious, when a member of the Wills began recording galactic history for the audience living in a faraway galaxy into the journey of the Journal of the Wills, another will mentioned Ahsoka Tano as someone to be remembered. So I want to know, is this the member of the Wills making a journal for our galaxy because it was from a faraway galaxy?
Yeah, so that's the theory, and that all the title scrolls are entries from the Journal of the Wills.
Ooh, okay.
That's the theory, at least.
That would be cool. That would be awesome. And then we have nonetheless behind the scenes. So, Ahsoka Tano was voiced by Ashley Eckstern in the Star Wars The Clone Wars television series and film, as well as the following Star Wars Rebel television series. Epstein later authored the young reader's book, Star Wars I Am a Padawan, and narrated the audiobook novel of Ahsoka. American actress Rosario Dawson portrays Tano in Chapter 13, The Jedi, in the 5th episode of The Mandalorian Season 2, with Caitlin Deschelle serving as a stunt double. She was the first live-action appearance of the character. Dawson continues to play Tano in the Ahsoka television series. Mm-hmm. And I will say, like, her live-action characterization and everything of Ahsoka is great. More for the fact because Rosario Dawson's also a Star Wars fan.
Yes. I do like the characterization. The only gripe I have with the show is that I feel like Ahsoka has lost kind of her sassiness, like that even that she had in Rebels. Which maybe she'll get it.
She's gained more of a serious tone.
Right. Maybe she'll get it back after the next episode with the conversation I'm assuming she's about to have.
Yeah, that's hope.
But
let's hope for that.
Yeah, but we will have more thoughts on the Ahsoka episodes, I'm assuming, at the end of this month.
Oh, yeah, I'm highly assuming that too. Yeah. So, early in the Clone Wars development, the character who became Ahsoka Tano was very involved in the black market and worked with the Jedi without getting involved in the Clone Wars. She would try to prevent criminals from taking advantage of the world. Supervising director Dave Filoni and executive producer George Lucas decided that including a Padawan was important, and Lucas wanted her to be Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. See, I didn't know it was Lucas's idea for her to be Anakin's.
Which is interesting to like have him teach a Padawan or whatever. But I think it drives home the point of like really set what Ahsoka does for Anakin is set up the point that like he cannot let attachments go. And we can talk about the Jedi Council and everything that they do and Palpatine's grooming, but like Anakin cannot let attachments go. Whereas like if you compare him to Jedi who do have attachments and stay to the light side and do that, such as Kanan Jarrus, like Kanan is willing to not just let go of his attachments, but he's willing to sacrifice himself for other people. Anakin would never, there was never an option for him like, oh, if I died and Padme lived, that would be okay.
Right.
Like that would not have been an option for Anakin.
Yep. Oh, I agree. Yeah, it drives him having a Padawan drives home to what he became.
Mm-hmm.
And then he explained that he would give Skywalker someone to teach, and her inclusion would create a dynamic between her, Skywalker, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. As of 2005, the character was named Ashla, a reference to the early name of the light side of the Force, when Lucas was developing Star Wars, and later canonized as the Lasat name of the Force. Mm-hmm. Ashla is also the name of one of the True Graded Jedi younglings who appeared in the Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. Filoni played with the idea of them being the same character, but realized the ages would not work. The two characters, however, are otherwise unrelated. The name Ahsoka was pitched by Lucas after Ahsoka the Great, the Indian emperor of the Maurya dynasty. Ahsoka Tano was one of the first characters that Filoni drew and was working on at Lucasfilm Limited. Producer Catherine Winder felt the Clone War crew was fortunate at finding Epstein, as she felt the actress naturally embodied the character. And she does. Oh my god. Go to any con that she's in, she will love everything.
Mm-hmm.
She takes time with all her fans. Like, I think it was celebrations, I think from 2 years ago that she was there. Like, so many people relate going back to the main show floor because Ashley was kept like having one-on-ones with every single fan that came to her.
Wow, that's awesome.
She went like well over an hour over the time limit that they gave her. It's crazy. And then, following the cancellation of the Clone Wars in 2013, Filoni revealed that he had planned out 12 more episodes that continue Ahsoka's story. He described each 4-episode arc at Celebration Europe. With the release of the 7th season of the Clone Wars in 2020, 8 of the 12 episodes Filoni mentioned were fully completed. And in the television series Star Wars Rebels, Tano was meant to be a wandering samurai, and that she carried new, slightly curved lightsabers to be meant to resemble the weapons carried by the samurai. Ahsoka's conversation with Rex in Star Wars Rebels episode Twilight of the Apprentice is meant to mirror that of the first conversation in the Clone Wars film. An interview with the official Star Wars website, Rebels co-creator and executive producer Dave Filoni stated that Vader wouldn't want a memory of Tano, a relationship that he considered a failure, and that he would be angry with her in a twisted way. And then Tano has appeared in various Star Wars video games. She would be deployed in battle in Star Wars Galactic Defense. She was playable as a part of the player's team in Star Wars Force Arena, and playable in Star Wars Galaxies of Heroes.
Yes, she has like 3 characters in Galaxy of Heroes. You have her Padawan version, you have her Fulcrum version, and you have her Season 7 version.
And probably soon to be Ahsoka version.
Maybe. No, because what they did is they remodeled the tech. They remodeled the Fulcrum Ahsoka to look more like Rosario.
Really? They should have.
Yeah.
I would have just had them make a new character at that point. I love the Fulcrum. Like, I love her Rebels design. Her Rebels design is fantastic. And then Tano appeared as a playable character in the 2015 Toys of Life video game Disney Infinity 3.0, which featured an original but non-canonical story set during the Clone Wars. Tano and her allies began the story by learning a secret droid factory in Geonosis has been activated, kicking off a third battle of Geonosis and forcing the group to unreveal who is behind the new droid army's creation. And then,
did you ever play that?
I did, actually. I played a lot of 3.0 Disney Infinity.
The Star Wars portion of those, like, especially the Clone Wars ones, like, those were good games. Like, it was kind of like Lego Star Wars, but a little different.
Like, Disney Infinity, like, I know people gave crap to Disney Infinity, but that Disney Infinity was so much fun, especially like when they added Marvel and then added Star Wars. And it's sad to say that Star Wars was the end of the Disney Infinity line because it was at its tail end because Toys of Life died. They were so much fun because you actually had like skill trees and everything to where you can customize your characters, make them stronger, all that stuff. Like Boba Fett was awesome. I loved playing Boba Fett. But in the end, Tano and company would learn that it was Maul's doing to engage the former Sith Lord in battle on Naboo. As part of the Infinity's Toys to Life aspect, Tano was given her own figure and could be beamed into the game. In 2023, Infinity Story led Adrian Roop revealed that he had pushed for Tano to get her own figure despite reluctance on the part of the higher-ups. He received support from the Lucasfilm story team that ultimately cemented her place as a figure. And that is behind the scenes. Yeah, so thank you for the Lucasfilm story team for making an Ahsoka figure for Disney Infinity. Because it's kind of weird that the developers didn't want an Ahsoka figure when she was like one of the most popular characters from the Clone Wars. She wasn't at first, but she became the most popular.
Right. And I think like Disney Infinity just was a lot of fun. I played it with my college roommate and you just got to do a bunch of stuff and it was an interesting story. And then they did they had stories for the original trilogy and The Force Awakens.
Yeah, they did all three eras of the Star Wars. Original, prequels, sequels, all that. The Marvel stuff was a lot of fun too, because I played a lot of Venom.
Yeah. Fun fact about the Force Awakens storyline, because it's just like the original trilogy and the Force Awakens storylines are just retellings of the movies.
Yeah.
But in the Force Awakens one, in the fight with Kylo Ren, it sounds like he calls Rey his cousin. But it's not. It feels weird or whatever. It's some weird, but it sounds like he says cousin. And so there were a lot of people in their theory with that who are like,
oh my god, people were theorizing.
He's gotta be
oh my
Luke's...
god, they're related. It's Luke's
she's Luke's daughter. She's Luke's daughter.
Yeah, I can see that. Of course, fan theories.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also for a game that was made for kids from the ages of 10 and up. Let me tell you, my time at GameStop, when I had to take those things in for trade, I despised it with a passion. Skylanders,
they're probably worth.
They're worth something now, because you can't. Well, some of them are worth something. A lot of them aren't. Like the ones that you got in the starter packs aren't worth crap.
Mm-hmm.
But like Boba Fett, Darth Maul, Venom, the Black Suit Spider-Man, a lot of like the very popular characters from Marvel and Star Wars are still worth quite a bit.
So my buddy, he found one. He got a Obi-Wan little figure, but the lightsaber lit up when you connected him to the little platform.
They did have some special, and I think they only do with Star Wars, if I recall. They did some special Disney Infinity figures where the lightsaber would light up once you put them on the base.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact for everyone. But that's what we have on Ahsoka's history. Other than that, if you watched Rebels, go watch Ahsoka. To go watch it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else you want to add before we end?
I think that's all I got.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, and may the Force be with you.
Thank you for listening to Holocron Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com.